Om Agyantimidandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Milidam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami iti namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirbishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Shatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Tithanam Bhavanibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I am sincerely grateful to be with all of you. Thank you, Priya Chaitanya Prabhu, for dragging me here so graciously, and Arti and Anmol and your whole team. The Sanskrit word yoga has such a profound, deep, universal meaning and purpose. It could be translated in various ways, but actually it is a culture, it is a spirit, it is a way of life. On a external level of perception, it really could help us become flexible and healthy and deal with stress and all of that. The word yoga, when we read in Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavat, Upanishads, the Puranas, the Itihastas, the Brahma Sutras, the word yoga means to harmonize. To connect. To unite or reunite on every level, from the physical, mental, emotional, intellectual, egoistical, to the very essence of life, the Atma, the Jiva, the soul. And then it goes deeper than the soul. Nahanyate hanyamane sarire. The body will die. That is inevitable. It's constantly changing. And the mind can change even faster than the body. And that's always an experience When we're little infant children, our mind is something that we can't even recognize today of who we are. It's changing through life, through circumstances, by time. But the soul is forever. It's the life force. And when we understand that harmony between the body, the mind, the intellect, the ego, and we realize that our true ego is, we are the soul. The false ego is when we're thinking we're the mind and the body. The real ego is to understand the truth, that I'm in this body, and I'm in this mind, and I'm in this world. And to the degree we have an experience of that, knowledge and experience, gyan and vigyan, then we not only theoretically understand, but we have the deepest emotional and spiritual appreciation that that same Jivatma that's in me, that is unique and individual and personal, it is present wherever there's life. Sometimes when we hear news about somebody in a different part of the world who we never knew dying, it affects us a little. But when someone who is our own family member, it affects us almost like a disaster in our life. Because we don't really care that deeply about people we really don't know. But when we know ourselves, then we actually feel a special kind of love and compassion wherever there's the family of spirit, wherever there's life. Janmadyashayataha. This is the first aphorism of the Brahma Sutra. The introduction is Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Now the Brahma Sutra is the essential study of all the knowledge of all the Vedas. Now that you have this human form of life, you have the potential to realize the absolute truth. Absolute truth means the truth that is harmonizing and bringing together all other truths. We may know the truth about this or something else, which knowledge, science, and all of that. But when we understand that harmonizing truth that brings together and that is the source of all other truths, that is called the absolute truth. Or in Sanskrit, Param Satyam, the highest truth. Para Brahman. And the next verse of Brahma Sutra, Janmadyashyata, the absolute truth is from whom everything and everyone emanates. And Bhagavad Gita gives an elaboration of this principle. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvataha. Krishna speaking. That supreme truth is the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me, Krishna says. The wise who know this perfectly. That means wisdom is to understand what is not just individual parts of truth, but how they're all connected. The wise who know this perfectly, they serve me with love. And what is that service to love of the supreme truth? It's compared to watering the root of a tree. Every part of the tree is included. When we pour water on the root, we're giving that attention to every flower, every leaf, every twig, every branch. And nature, we could say itself, but from a spiritual perspective, herself. Nature herself, she's Mother Nature in the West. And in India, in the Vedic literature, she's Prithvi, or Bhumi. She's actually the goddess of motherly devotion. She's God's feminine potency, not different than God. Expanded within the material realm to provide everything. Nature includes the sun, the moon, the air, the sky, earth, water, fire, and all the various combinations. So this idea of spiritual truth, all the truths, all the knowledge, and everything that anyone can know, has ever known, or will ever know. How everything and everyone is connected, united, and harmonized. That's what yoga means. It's not just what you can do on a little mat. It's the deepest, most profound science of life. It's the science that gives purpose and ananda, or the potential of true happiness, to all the other sciences of life. And it's if that principle is separated from how we deal with our family, how we deal with nature, how we deal with animals, how we deal with each other, whatever caste or nationality or race or religion, then it's not actually yoga. Karma yoga is we're seeking that unity, we're seeking that harmony, through righteous actions. Jnana yoga, through deep discern knowledge, philosophy. Astanga yoga, through various forms of purifications and meditations. Asanas, through following moral principles. Yama niyama. And bhakti yoga is the culmination of all other forms of yoga, according to Bhagavad Gita. Bahunam janmanamante jnanavamam papadyate vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma sadurlava. After many, many births of developing and acquiring so much knowledge, when one finally comes to the point of real wisdom, one surrenders to the supreme truth. Yogena visarvesham madgatinantarat. Bhakti, to serve with love, is the most confidential, intimate realization and culmination of the process of yoga. And Patanjali Yogi, he describes in his Yoga Sutras, Samadhi Siddhir Ishvara Pranyana. The very perfection of samadhi, which is the goal of yoga, is Sharanagati, Ishvara Pranidhana, to sincerely surrender to the supreme truth, to Ishvara. Ishvara means God, but not just a superficial conception of God. Ishvara is that source of everything, who's the ultimate controller of everything. And that Ishvara is, in the highest understanding, Rasa Vihari. What is everyone looking for ultimately in the world or anywhere else? Happiness. And the very basis of real happiness is the happiness of loving and being loved. So Param Satyam Dhimahi, to meditate on the supreme truth, is to understand the supreme, ultimate, purest lover and object of love. And through bhakti yoga, we learn to actually realize and express our appreciation of the harmony of everything, of yoga, through love, through devotion, which includes jnana, includes karma, and it's beyond, and that love is beyond birth and beyond death. Vidyavanaya sampade brahmanikami hastini sunichaiva svapakecha pandita samadarshana. Bhagavad Gita describes the nature of someone who has that love, has wisdom, where we perceive the harmony of the Spirit, the harmony of God's energy in everything and everyone that exists. Whatever particular section of human society, animal society, plant society, whether it's a good person or a bad person, we see the potential in everyone. How is that possible? Only when we see the potential within ourselves. And it's a very interactive path. Because as we treat others, the truth about ourselves is revealed. And as we go deeper into realization of our own true self, we can understand the harmony of our own self with all life. And not only with all life, but with all creation. There's so much fear, so much corruption, pollution, greed, arrogance, violence, some innocence. It seems like the world is a very hopeless situation. Sometimes, very often actually, we speak to people who are in the middle of war zones, people who lose the life of their relatives, their friends, through violence, through disease, through betrayal. It's a hard world. And the idea of yoga, the magic of yoga actually, is not that everything around is going to change because we change. The magic of yoga is when we change, then we understand the potential that we have individually and collectively, both to make changes in this world and to understand what is inevitably beyond this physical world. From another perspective, the word yoga means exactly the same thing religion means, if we go to the root of that word, religio. To reconnect, to bind back. It's the essence that nothing can really work properly without. It is the most important need of the world, beyond sectarian ideas. For people to appreciate the potential to love, to be compassionate, and to have that as the motivating force by which we perceive everything around. Now, Bhagavad Gita was spoken on a battlefield. And it's not that after Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita, everything became peaceful. How many of you have studied something of Bhagavad Gita? Please raise your hands. Huh? That's Bhagavad Gita. Huh? Well, sometimes we're thinking when we become enlightened, everything's going to be really nice around us. Well, Bhagavad Gita was spoken, and Arjuna became a perfect yogi by hearing Bhagavad Gita. But it's not that the world around him became peaceful. Just a few minutes after Bhagavad Gita was spoken, he was in the middle of a battle. Not just battling with his mind, but battling with armies. And people were still trying to exploit him. When Gandhi said, try to be the change you want to see in this world. That's a beautiful idea. But when we understand what Bhagavad Gita and what religion and its essence and spirituality and yoga is saying, it's really profound. And just to think we have an opportunity to practice yoga with this understanding of yoga, to become purified and transformed. And teachers training, we have an opportunity to teach others, not just through your certification, but through your life. That's really a beautiful meditation. That whatever's happening around, I may not have too much control of that, but to be an instrument of this principle of yoga in my own life and in those people who I'm connected with, and actually through the radiance of the vibration of our thoughts and words and deeds, we're not only affecting the whole planet, we're affecting the universe and the creation. Why? Because everything is connected. And to not understand that and not see things in that perspective, it's because we're really just out of touch with reality. This Govardhan Eco Village, it's a yoga community in this sense. It's a bhakti yoga community because it's based on recognizing and offering our body, minds, words, and lives to create that harmony through the practice of love and devotion by watering the root of the tree and simultaneously feeling genuine, trying to develop a genuine concern for every part of that tree. These bricks were made from the earth here, and they were sun-dried. Did they see the brick machine? You go like this. You have to be kind of strong to do it. I remember once I was bringing some guests, because you put the powder of the earth in, and then you put some water in according to special proportions, and then it's like a water pump, but you press and it makes it into a condensed brick, and then it dries in the sun, and then we build. So as I was pressing, I couldn't get it beyond this, and I was hanging from it. With all my weight, I was going like this. And my feet were going like that, about 3 feet from the ground. And I was in the air going like, wouldn't move. Then I got down, and one lady came and went. So I was very happy, very happy. But these bricks are just an effort and kind of a symbol of whatever else we're trying to do. Trying to see how we treat each other and how we treat the environment and how we treat ourselves. How we try to samsiddhir haritoshanam, please the all-loving God in everything we do. That's our purpose. We've tried here to make a community out of that principle. Because if we care about ourselves, we understand that our happiness is in our interactions of love with God and with each other. And the little baby calf cries for its mother, or her mother, just like our own little baby does. recognize these interconnected, related truths, and to actually care and want to do something. And caring for Mother Nature, the ecology, the environment, everyone's health, happiness is dependent on it. So to think we could be a philanthropist and then pollute the world, there's something very incomplete and disconnected with that. It's like giving somebody a good medicine and then giving them poison. It's a contradiction. If we really care about people, it has to include caring on what everyone is affected by, dependent on. And the idea of yoga, when we understand everything's connection and everyone's connection with the supreme, essential, loving force behind it all, who we call Krishna, Sri Radha, then yes, there's a unity in our perception, there's a unity in our experience, and there's the effect of unity in our lifestyle. So in one sense, Govardhan Eco Village is meant to be kind of a yoga school where we have Bhagavad Gita courses and yoga courses and everything else. But we're hoping that just by coming here and breathing in an atmosphere that is surcharged with this energy, people can feel that the true beauty of yoga. I had no idea what I was going to speak about when I came. But whatever I spoke. I'm grateful to all of you for your patience in allowing me to serve in this way and allowing our whole community to serve you in this way. As we become spiritually enriched, then we understand the great joy of life is not what we get, but the opportunity of what we can give. And the more we want to give, the more we want to have something very deep and precious to give. That is bhakti. That mindset is what bhakti means. Thank you very much. Please tell me.
We should save this class, and some months that you are not here, then I would give the recording of this class to the students. And you said that you had no idea what to.
It was so beautiful from self-love to love for other species, other beings.
To karma yoga, bhakti, everything. This was like our TTC class.
Perfect summarization of self-love to supreme love. And leading us to an example, Maharaj. We see your life and we see your life personally and the place that you have played. Exactly, you spoke about all of that. So thank you so much for this journey from self-love to supreme love. Thank you, Maharaj. Anybody has any question, reflection, please?
Thank you, Anmol, and thank you, Archie.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I wanted to ask you, what does Krishna mean to you? And why did you choose this path of Bhakti Yoga? Thank you.
Yeah, I wrote a book about that. Just to answer your question. There is one supreme source of everything that exists. Nam Namakari Bahuda Nitya Sarva Shaktis. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu writes that God has many names. There's Allah, Jehovah, Yahweh. From the Vedic point of view, Buddha. There are many names of God, and the feminine power of God, Radha, Sita, Lakshmi. But all of these different aspects of God which are being called upon through the name of God, they're all contained, if you put them all together, the supreme truth is all attractive. Supremely attractive. Not just that we fear God, but as the heart becomes purified, if you have a really good magnet, and then you have a piece of metal, little piece of metal that's totally covered with dirt, is there any attraction? But as you clean the dirt, and when the metal particle is completely cleaned of dirt, it's helplessly attracted to the magnet. We're attracted to beauty, but we learn that the source of all beauty and the complete fullness of all beauty is in God, is in the Supreme. We're attracted to strength, to knowledge, to wealth, to fame, to detachment, humility. All of these qualities attract us in this world. And when there's a little tiny temporary particle of any of these attractions, just see how it affects us. But when you take all those attractive qualities in their purest state, as the origin of everything that's beautiful and wonderful and perfect. If that is the definition of God, that's what the name Krishna means. Krishna means all attractive. Very profound. We could just say Krishna, just like we just say yoga. But what is the depth and the profoundness of the word yoga? And what is the depth and profoundness of this understanding of the supreme truth as being all attractive, supreme lover, supreme object of love, supreme everything that attracts the heart. And the realization of that is ananda. Sometimes we say ananda means happy. Some places they call liquor ananda. But from a spiritual perspective, ananda is the ever-increasing ecstasy of being connected with that supreme power of God's love, God's joy. That's Krishna. In Krishna, that one supreme truth manifests beauty and sweetness as with the greatest prominence. Certainly God creates, and certainly the Supreme Truth destroys. In the form of time, everything's being destroyed. And in some spiritual paths, there's great emphasis on how God punishes if we're not doing things right. Like a mother and father punish, and the children usually never think it's fair. But above all these aspects, which are kind of the external aspects of God, the inner core of the heart of the Supreme Truth is sweetness, beauty, and love. So coming in contact with a culture like this and people who have this aspiration, that's how I ended up like I am. Haribo.
Actually, Maharaj, I had a question this time, if it's okay. So this question is coming up from this years of experience of teaching. And I realized that the more we are progressing, the more yoga is becoming like healing. People look up to it as physical, emotional healing, mental health, and it's nice. But at some point, I also realized that people are really suffering so much with mental health, emotional issues, dysfunctional families. Yoga is helping, emotional health is getting managed, mental health can be offered, but at some point, how do we put across this, or where I feel that person also sometimes they're not ready, it's so suffering so much that actually empowering the person to understand that just managing it is not the goal, but going beyond the whole identification with those emotional issues or mind, it's challenging these days. Especially as a yoga teacher, I experience this a lot, that people feel nice when they release, they experience some release in their emotions, or they feel that they're managing their mind. But when it comes to a little higher realization from there, I feel that a lot of people are still not ready. They just want to manage the whole life through some practices, which is nice. I am of the same thought process. I also love doing breath work, chakras, meditating on all of that. But at the same time, I'm fortunate that I have the foundation of something from this Vaishnava philosophy. But should we stop? As a teacher, I feel that should I just give them some tools, which I'm aware of, I've learned and experienced myself? Because eventually even I know that is not a long-lasting thing. So should we just stop there, or how do we encourage the higher consciousness of detachment from, or disconnection from the emotions and mind games and all of that? People are just looking for healing. I hope I made sense.
Just let everyone be with you. A teacher opens doors, and then according to how a student wants to go through the door and how far they go inside, that we should be with a prayerful and a compassionate heart, we should be to take them as far as they allow us to take them. The idea of healing is like that. We have an Ayurvedic hospital and wellness center on our property, the Govardhan's Ayurveda. And depending on a person's condition, and in this sense we're speaking not only their physical and mental condition, but their aptitude. Sometimes healing is very gradual. First, you have to deal with one very external situation before they're ready to go deeper. Yes? And sometimes they're really just ready to go deeper. So a good doctor really cares about the patient and heals according to what's actually most healing. In Ayurveda, if you give a person a very strong medicine before they're actually healed enough that strong medicine will go right to the core of the disease. But they have to have a certain amount of health where less effective medicines may just bring them so that they can assimilate the stronger medicine. And in many ways, that's how Bhagavad Gita is taught. It's teaching about karma. That means, we shouldn't do things that cause harm to others and harm to ourselves. Now, the laws of karma are a material law. They're not spiritual. It's just how the world operates. But unless we understand the laws of karma and take responsibility for it, then will we really understand what it means to surrender? So the most important thing is we care for the body, the mind, and the soul. And then the best way we can help an individual, we open the doors to give them an opportunity to actually heal. Physically, emotionally, and especially spiritually. Because however much the mind is free from stress and the physical body is feeling nice, we still have to grow old, get diseased, and die. And that's providing, no bombs drop and all that stuff. We don't get some disease, or cars don't crash. The type of sufferings that people are dealing with, we have to try to help them. But we want to bring them to that point where they can actually feel the experience of that truth of who they are and what they are and what their potential is that liberates them from these sufferings. And in the principle of yoga, liberation from sufferings is only the negation of what causes what we don't like. And sometimes the world is just such a suffering place, that's enough. Just let it end, mukti. But the deeper sense of mukti is not just the negation of the temporary conditions of suffering. It's the positive, which includes liberation, and that's prema, or love, spiritual love. Anandam buddhivardhanam pratipadam punamrita swadanam. The happiness we're all seeking. And that's the concept of this name of the absolute truth of Krishna, of Radha. Radha means the supreme absolute lover. Krishna means the absolute supreme beloved. And this idea of Radha Krishna in our tradition, it's being eternally within the reality of that love. It's beyond just the cessation of suffering. But when people are really suffering, which is very common, the healing may begin there. But still, we want to open those doors for people so that they can see what the potential they have in their life is. That actually, your question had embedded within it the answer to your question. I'm just giving a commentary on what you already said. I am so happy to be among all of you. Thank you very, very much. And I'm so grateful you came to Govardhan Eco Village. And I pray that all of you consider this your home.